Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about reflexive and intensive pronouns. Now, a reflexive pronoun ends in self or selves, so themselves, yourself, all those kind of things. And the definition is it refers back to the subject and directs the action of the verb back to the subject. Now, it kind of sounds technical, but once you see how it works in a sentence, I think you'll understand the definition. They are necessary to a sentence, meaning you cannot remove them, unlike our intensive pronouns, which you can remove. If I remove it from the sentence, it's going to change the meaning of the sentence. So it's very important to leave it in the sentence. It's used when the object and the subject are the same. So, for example, Houdini called himself a master escape artist. So Houdini called what himself? That's the direct object. And it's the same as the subject. So it's when your object and your subject are the same. So looking back to the definition, it refers back to the subject and directs the action of the verb back to the subject because the object is the same as the subject. Another example is Ben Carson dedicated himself to become a doctor. So himself is our reflexive pronoun. It's the same as the subject, which is Ben Carson. Now intensive pronouns are a little bit different. They're going to end in selves and selves just like the other ones, so it's still themselves, himselves, all of those, but they emphasize a noun or another pronoun in the same sentence. They're unnecessary, so if I remove it from the sentence, it still makes sense. So here's an example. You yourself have seen magic shows on TV. It just re-emphasizes the subject. It doesn't really need to be there because you could say you have seen magic shows on TV. So the difference between a reflexive and an intensive pronoun, reflexive, they're necessary with the object is the same as the subject. Intensive pronouns are not necessary and they're going to be in the same spot as the subject. This will kind of help you see how they're in the same spot. Houdini called himself. You see that it's in the object spot, so it must be a reflexive pronoun. Now with an intensive pronoun, you're going to diagram it like in a positive. And then we put the yourselves right by you because it's just re-emphasizing the subject. So it's much like in a positive. Okay, so give it a try on these, and then you'll be ready to go. Okay, so the first one, Houdini tied himself up. We have Houdini tied what? Himself. Up is a adverb in this case. When you have a preposition without an object, it becomes an adverb. He set himself on fire. Our verb is set. Set what? Himself. Our subject is he. On fire. The dog itself jumped the fence. Okay. Okay, and then we had that intensive pronoun there, so we just put it right by the subject. Okay, here's another example of an intensive pronoun. Okay, we see that it's right, it's just repeating doctor, so it's an intensive pronoun. Okay, and that should be it. Make sure you take the quiz, make sure your notes are completed for tomorrow, and have a good night.